seems to be taking increasingly longer for my phone to sync to the camera every single time I turn it on. So I'm back in the house again today because it's atrocious weather outside and we're having an house day. So there we go. After the hell, no, that's not true. I wouldn't say hell, it wasn't hell. After soft play this morning and the obscene prices of food there, which we didn't buy, but I was still rather shocked at how much it would cost for a breakfast sandwich, which was £7.95 with an additional 50p for mushrooms, and then the pièce de résistance of an extra £2.95 should you want an hash brown on there, which is truly daylight robbery. But that's by the by. We survived soft play and now we've got an afternoon/evening at home, which is good because I'm going to get some more hobby time in, which is much needed after not having any for a while. Anyway, that's by the by. I realise there is some banding going on. That's because this light above me, not the studio lights, not these bad boys, this other light panel is not fantastic and it needs to be moved, and I still haven't got around to doing it. I do have a replacement that will cause no flickering. Anyway, what's been on my mind today is objectivism versus subjectivism. Objective versus subjective. And how some people who think they have objective opinions that are rather subjective have issues accepting people with objective opinions, which is, I know that might not make much sense. However, let me give you an example. So some people I can have a conversation with some people, as you rightly do, and some people, not all people, but some folk get annoyed, upset, offended when you raise something as fact, objectivism, and you can prove as such. They particularly enjoy bringing it back to bound. Well, I think this, I think that, and it's like, okay, so it's subjective, but when you're talking about something that you can objectively prove that has a quantifiable right or wrong answer, some folk don't like that, which I find hugely difficult to deal with. Massively so. I had a recent incident with a family member. I in fact talked about on here where they had an opinion which was wrong. And that's fine when you're talking about politics, when you're talking about money, and you're talking about, like that socio-ethnographic space. People get passionate and there is a lot of subjectivism that comes out of it. But when you can quite clearly structure an argument around an objective cause to that, that's just quantifiable based off of, data, some folk don't like to be told that, and it becomes quite confrontational quite fast. And I found this to be the case. And again, this is only based off of my personal experiences. This is entirely my thoughts. I've found that wherever I've had conversations with people, colleagues, whoever, based around difficult topics of conversation that, as a societal norm, we tend to either lie about, and when I say lie about, I mean our actual opinions about something and thoughts, because we don't want to be seen as that person, be an outlier, or we're very much at an extreme in those arguments. I suppose immigration is a good one. Education is another good one. Obviously politics, and that's an interesting stance to have in arguments. And I find that the reason I wanted to talk about this, or I am talking about it, to put it into context before I go off on a divergent tangent, is around objective versus subjective appreciation of art. It's been on my mind a lot recently, and I've had some conversations with number of colleagues, and even with my wife, we've had conversations about, what do you think of this piece of art? What do you think of that piece of art? And there's certain things that really irk me, that people can't tell me why they like something when I'm trying to understand something from their perspective to educate myself. A real good case in point is Picasso. I hate Picasso. I can't think of any piece that he's ever done that I see artistic merit in. From a subjective perspective, I just don't enjoy it. I don't get any passion. I don't get any pleasure from it. I find it dull and boring. And I had this conversation with a colleague at work, and oh my, did it get on their nerves that I can't appreciate Picasso objectively, even though I subjectively dislike it. And that's not true. Objectively, I can see his importance in art. Subjectively, I don't find any of his work warrants artistic merit. And I'm allowed to think that. But they also could not tell me why they found it so moving, so emotive, so beautiful. All of these emotive words, I suppose, and feelings, but they couldn't at all describe to me what it was that made them feel or think like that, anything about it. And as such, I posited the question of well, you can't then objectively give it artistic merit if you can't subjectively tell me why you feel like that about it at all. If you can't say, well, look at this or that aspect of it to then objectively measure it. And we got into quite a heated discussion about it. And it's been preying on my mind somewhat, because it's almost like foundational to a lot of my personality traits as to how I pigeonhole certain things. And I'm a very objective person. I don't have many subjective feelings towards things. There's certain things that I do, obviously, like my love of Transformers is subjective to me because it was so formative during my early stage of development and all that. Where it's basically an advert for toys, it's fine. But in my adult perspective of how I rationalise the world and make it through a day, I'm very objective. And everything is probably overly quantifiable in how I look at things. I don't put feelings as a deciding factor into what I do. So from this artistic slant, where I think a lot of appreciation of it should be subjective, but you should be able to quantify your subjective opinion on something, is a real interesting juxtaposition of the two things. And I would have liked to explore it more. I would have liked to explore it more with them, but they weren't really willing to go down that path after my sweeping statement of I thought Picasso was, I think the term I use, I think it's a lot of crap. And it's the same thing with Hockney. I think, Hockney is, I mean, I'm not gonna swear, but like David Hockney is beyond bad in my opinion. I think he's truly dire. Sorry, the washing machine just randomly came on. Truly dire, and I've never seen anything that warrants less artistic praise than his stuff. But yeah, that's just me. I'd be really interested to see what people think about this. This is one of those conversations I would love to engage with people about in person, in a pub or something over summer. I love talking about this kind of thing. And it's a little bit, I'm a little bit annoyed that the conversation didn't go any further than that, but it is what it is. What can you do about it, eh? What can you do? Right, I'm going to leave it there for today because this has gone on for a while. So objective versus subjective, that's my takeaway for today. Right, I'm going to go and paint some more of my tiny little plastic men for a bit and see the little one. Right, have a good one. See ya.